top side, and they could give last pick to either. But they're just going to go for Chovy's Aurelia. Again, a very powerful pick. I understand the ban, but Galio can be a decent blocker in the early game. And just a Jace lock-in at Viper's pick would send so many alarm bells off and potentially ruin the drafting from Damwong Gaming.
Yeah, would have made it very confusing for the second half here, but what will be the pick into the jungle? It looks like an Olaf into all that CC that Damwon is already packing.
Not seen so much of the Olaf from Tarzan, but it certainly is very hard to out-skirmish an Olaf. The Kazakhs could be considered. I'd actually like it from Canyon on the blue side. You get the drop on an Olaf, you can actually kill him faster than you might expect in the matchup, and we'll be locked in for Canyon. Last final question is, what's the top laner going to be for Nuguri as a blind pick? We've already seen a Gangplank, but it was an answer pick from Khan that went down.
Ooh.
Talking about the Jace, it will be the Jace blind pick from Damwon, and Sang-hyeon and Urgot both removed.
Maybe that's part of the reason they didn't ban it. They wanted to pick it up themselves as a potential blind pick into the top side. Now, what will be the counter here? Are we going to see a counter for the top side?
No.
Looks like it.
It's going to be the Victor here trying to farm it out against Jace. I actually like Jace a lot in this matchup. If I was thinking about stuff that's worked in the past that could lane against Jace, Khan actually led the way with the Gragas top lane. That was actually pretty good. I spawned Gauntlet Gragas. And being able to just always be in threat range of a body slam or an ultimate when Jace is harassing. Instead, they just want to extend the laning phase. I imagine it's going to be very much going to go for the standard E evolve. First into wave clear. Potential, though, for Nuguri and Canyon to do a number on Sword. I imagine we'll see him very, very defensive in terms of his positioning. Chovy's Akali is one of the scariest in the LCK, and will Damwon be able to have a plan, or will they just be reacting to Tarzan's invades in the early game?
You and I were discussing the Kespa Cup and reminiscing on Nuguri's mega death Victor, meaning he had died multiple times. Definitely could be reenacted here as some sort of sick revenge into the top side up against Sword. I'll have to wait and see if they can actually enact it. Very strong composition here. Lots of engage on the side of Damwon Gaming, plus Jace into the top side as they picked for that blind pick. Excited to see if they can make this actually work in this composition.
And I honestly really like the lanes in basically every lane for Damwon Gaming. I think they have a lot of great options here. Akali won't get going till later. I like Jason to Victor, and Ezra Khan is annoying to kill, but obviously doesn't have the most pressure in the 2v2. So what do we like on the side of Griffin? It's Olaf, and it's late game. So how will Olaf be able to be used? Many teams have just put the maximum pain on with Olaf and made good matchups turn into bad ones purely from that pressure.
Well, here we go, guys. Game number one of what feels like the Clash of Titans. Olaf having himself a bit of a dance before this one gets going. The cheers are loud. The seats are packed out here at the LCK Arena. We are getting ready to hop into game number one of Damwon versus Griffin. Go out there, tell your friends this is on. Could be some of the best League of Legends we've had here in Korea, and I'm excited to get it started.
I always love the polite cheers from both sides of the crowd before a big match. I remember those in Game 5s of finals. Rocks Tigers versus KT Rolster 2016 final in summer will never leave my mind. And honestly, it feels like a cheer of glee of, okay, we get to see this. Isn't that awesome? Between the two undefeated teams, the only undefeated teams in best of ones. And the LCK late invade coming from Griffin on the bot side here to get vision down. Any information advantage you can get as an Olaf, let alone Tarzan, on a jungle with a skirmishing advantage can only pay off in spades for the side of Griffin.
Nuguri already getting aggressive here onto Sword, wants to lay down the pain up into that rough matchup. Speaking of which, Damwon Gaming starting off strong here.
We could see 3 lanes with a health advantage after a level 1 trade. That's 2 out of 2 so far. Already mentioned it in the pregame here. Some people would have missed it because the streams have been down, but welcome to everyone around the world. 104 KDA between ShowMaker and Chovy so far. 60 KDA for Chovy, 44 for ShowMaker, single death for Chovy all season. The top lane matchup was a Victor picked into Jace, and I asked for the Sang-hyeon Urgot bans because it's all that we've seen from Sword so far this season. And now he has to self-counterpick himself with the Victor. Yes, after 1150 gold, you can press E on the minions haphazardly and they mostly die in front of you. But when it comes to trades, Jace wins out on them pretty significantly till an Iceborne Gauntlet and more.
That he does. Early game here for Akali up against Galio, especially on this current patch, can be a bit annoying. But we'll eventually get that going. You mentioned the 1 death for Chovy, but also only 1 death for ShowMaker. Just doesn't have as high of a KDA because they played 1 less series. So if somehow ShowMaker doesn't die once again in this series, we could see even higher KDA for that fella in the mid lane.
Canyon's ability to read, so Tarzan's ability to read Canyon like a book in the Kesper Cup was a big reason it was a 3-0 in that series. And I want to draw your attention to the fact that vertical jungling has been gleefully accepted by Canyon. He just wants to get 2 big buffs and go from there. Happy to go camp for camp against an Olaf in the early game. If there's parity there, and like we mentioned, we like the laning matchups basically everywhere for the side of Damwong. We kind of need to see Griffin make us a believer of a draft that feels pretty risky for at least early to mid-game play.
Well, we've seen what they can do as the game comes along here. See if they can reenact that success they've found. Their team fighting. Canyon going to be spotted up here, and will he go for the kill here? Sorg going to drop down the laser, but not enough mana, so he's just going to push him away from the Krugs and take some himself.
Awkwardly, he doesn't have enough damage, of course, with no Hex Core upgrades, but also he really, really doesn't want to use mana on anything other than the minions to actually stay in lane against Jace, so it actually feels really bad to waste anything on Canyon. You're not going to force a red buff jungler out of the jungle. Tarzan finds a ruined raptor camp, and is very sad about that. Olaf, one of the best at clearing those out.
He already got his chance on Canyon's side of the jungle. Down on the bottom side. You can see the camps actually pretty in favor of Tarzan here, partially because Canyon was pushed off of the 1 Krug camp up top. Now Tarzan is going to back and give a chance for Canyon to catch up and hit level 4.
Griffin hoping and praying that the game remains 0-0 and they have a Gunblade Akali and a 2-item Ezreal. I think that's where things can lead to better lane assignments than you are granted at level 1 with the champions they've chosen. Nuguri walks up. Says a brief hello to Sword, but of course the items are required for that damage to be any more significant. Tarzan on a second visit bot side. Actually a red buff advantage to Canyon.
Okay, gonna find him here in the brush, and Tarzan, he's going in, has that extra attack speed, and Chovy makes his way over the wall first. First blood goes over to Tarzan in the solo kill. Now we got everybody coming down here. Nuguri's here, but Chovy already picked up the kill, and the TP comes in on Sword. It's a 4-on-4. They're just trying to kill one person as Damwong, but they can't even do that. Tarzan solo finally goes down, as Nuclear is able to pick up the kill, and the rest of Griffin are on the backside. ShowMaker, though, coming on in with that teleport, wants to get in range. They're looking for Viper here, but does he have enough mana to get that Arcane Shift to safety? That is the question. Gonna be caught short there as ShowMaker. The W comes in from Nuclear for the double kill over the course of that time. Welcome 2 kills to the Kai'Sa in the bot lane.
They desperately needed that. Not enough mana. 90 mana to make it happen. 65 was how much he had, so his death is incurred. Really interesting fight where Tarzan's on the enemy side of the jungle. Canyon takes a man fight because he has Galio on his side of the map, and he thinks he's going to get the reaction fast enough. Watch this. It's just a pure 1v1 to begin, but Akali is interrupting, and Chovy actually gets there first. ShowMaker not able to react. And in Kesper Cup, he was behind the play more often than not. In an interview he did post-game last time out, he talked about how nothing was coming together in Kesper Cup. This should actually have been better for Damwong, given the champions and the positioning on the map. But it ends up 2 for 2, so no lead grown by Griffin.
Chovy once again proving that his Akali is OP, but the Akali's mobility and ability to get over the wall, in that case, gets her in position. Doesn't matter in the 1v1 as well for the junglers, as Tarzan just wins in that solo kill. Did miss how the Ezreal eventually did go down, You see where the kills go. Chovy has 1, but Kaisa has 2, so Nuclear might look to be the carry this time around.
And remember that level 6 Galio can easily roam and back up canyons, and no longer does he have to avoid Olaf's pathing. There's some scenarios where you just straight up kill Olaf on an invade, so Damwong Gaming need to continue to play this style. Their pressure style should be met with largely a white flag from Griffin before their items are put together. That's why I was a bit skeptical of what Griffin have drafted here. If you go 2 for 2 in the early game when you have a comp disadvantage, that actually is advantage Griffin, the fact that they were able to trade evenly. But now we reach a resting state again, and we wait for the first hero's entrance and whether it can warp these side lanes.
We'll see if ShowMaker and Canyon's teamwork is on point. Fortunately, ShowMaker slow on the fight that we did have in the jungle, but hero's entrance kind of forgoes any of that nonsense and just hops over all the walls. Doesn't really care about that too much.
It's going to be harder to use that in the mid-game than the Shen support we had the other day, because it's so difficult to work out when to use hero's entrance against an Akali. Akali versus Jace, and again, mid to late game, the options Griffin have in the side lane there will be much stronger. But for now, like you say, yeah, just hero's entrance in, back up your members, continue to push forward. Turret plates should be pretty much stacked for the side of Damwon in the top lane at minimum. Bot lane, I think, could pick up some as well, but because there's been a lot of Olaf showing on the bottom side, it's actually CS parity between Viper and Nuclear.
The Doran's Blade start here, interestingly, from Chovy. Feels like he had enough regeneration to survive in the lane, and as we can see so far, that is definitely true. From the way that the game has gone, Chovy has carried many a game in his life, especially the ones on Akali in LCK. We'll see if he can do it here once again, picks up that 1 kill, but I'm really excited for perhaps a new face that's off the Xayah, Nuclear, to come onto the Rift here for Damwon Gaming and for him to be the carry this time around.
Damwon have not found too much success with him as a primary carry, but maybe that says more of just how much of a carry ShowMaker and Nuguri is, rather than just purely Nuclear. Again, not going to be too fondly remembered for his time in Europe, but he was good on Sonic Boom when that team was a bit of a basket case at the bottom of LCK. He was never individually super outclassed in EU. I guess Reckless had his number many times, but his comeback and his solo rank has always been really, really high. He's been top 10 for a lot of the end of the season. And while he's had good games, if it's just does Nuclear pop off or not, that's the part where we're not 100% clear on the side of Damwon.
Well, as you mentioned in the pick ban, he does have a lot of different allied champions that can help him get into position with their ability to CC and engage, specifically the Galio and the Alistair. Tarzan here, not going to go for this Rift Herald, just hanging around the top side.
Doesn't have priority in this lane, but has a Predator and can just run at Jace. Will he pop it? That was a visual bug. That
was really confusing.
Really funny. And now we're going to see the real thing.
Nuguri just nopes out of there real quick, says, nuh-uh. Not taking the 2v, even though Victor was pushed in, just immediately decides, no, I cannot take this fight against Olaf.
No reason to path into that brush, and obviously at the end of the story, after the visual bug is over, no way for Jace to contend, and that's actually a big favor to Sword. No longer can Nuguri be as relentlessly aggressive on the push-up and pain train, and that should mean the turret plates also will be gone before the flash is available again for the Jace.
Canyon, level 7, 11 minutes into the game, decides now is the time. They have a lot of nice vision up in the top side. There was a control ward in the pixel brush as well, but that was recently cleared. But still, this will go unseen for now.
Speaking of unseen, Canyon once again evolving R. This is what he did first game out, and was just so maneuverable in a game that looked really tricky for Kha'Zix to get much value. So no Q first, or W first, much more common. Are those as the choice? In this case, R evolve and just trying to be slippery and assassinate Ezreal, Akali, or Victor in a team fight. Wait, he got the interruption!
He interrupted it! Oh man, Canyon! Not sure if he knew that interaction, but... Oh man, we have a crazy stuff going on now.
We have a lot of crazy stuff.
Is picked up here on Tarzan too.
All right, let's talk about the first part. The interruption on the R was always there. It used to be a silence, became an R interrupt. Oopsie from Canyon. Now the bot side of the map.
Okay, here we go. First hero's entrance, gonna go wide as Hoit. Super low is gonna be taken out. ShowMaker with no mana as well. Nuguri trying to go 1v3, but he cannot, as Chovy is going to execute him, and ShowMaker just desperately trying to make something of a bad situation is also taken out. Complete disaster here for Damwong Gaming as Griffin take advantage.
What's happening this game, Valdez? The redemption keeps the Olaf alive. He rushed it after the red smite and the boots. They're going to get a turret plate from this as well. The top side's out of position because they were caught with their hands in the cookie jar trying to take the turret. Good job with Sword, understanding that interaction, disarming it quickly. I guess Canyon just said, well, he doesn't have the W evolve, therefore he can't interrupt, but R is also an interrupt on abilities like Kassadin's Q. We watched the replay here. A lot of burst damage onto Tarzan, but he channels the redemption, stays alive. And Damwong Gaming, in so many different ways, we're going to feel so unhappy about this passage of play.
This just doesn't feel like any other jungle would be able to think this way and say, hey, we're going up against a full-on engaged comp. If I just rush redemption, maybe I can survive it. Maybe I can keep our team alive to win in the sustained fight. And we saw it in action right away, right after he picked up the redemption. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Well, let's think again. Let's just do a little bit of a deep dive here and remember, how does Olaf build? He gets his boots, so he has a keystone. He gets his red smite, and then he builds Black Cleaver. That's what we usually see, because of the fact that Phage has the rage passive interaction that with just a Black Cleaver you can run at people and kill them. Don't think Black Cleaver is going to kill Kha'Zix. He's going to disengage in one way or the other, and you're not necessarily going to be that overextended. The Black Cleaver is so squishy as a build that I think Damwong Gaming take you down pretty fast. So instead, he moves away from the Black Cleaver, builds a redemption for a bit of utility. And actually, it might be a pretty astute choice if you aren't bound to building a Warrior Enchant and Cinderhulk is more of a scaling jungle item rather than an immediate power item. You can build something else. Now, I wouldn't have expected redemption as a something else.
Yeah.
But I guess Rakan has to build something other than redemption, and it seems like Griffin have some sponsorship with the Redemption Overlords.
Well, it seemed to make sense from what we can tell, and one disaster into another as Viper and Lehends are just pushing them into the bottom side, as apparently Kaisa Alistair not able to do too much up against this duo so far, to the point where they bring Canyon down to the bottom side.
Love to know how many stacks of Ingenious Hunter Tarzan has as well. Remember that all Predator junglers will go Ingenious Hunter to get that Predator cooldown down. That means Redemption could be amusingly low cooldown as the game goes on as well.
It's actually a fantastic point, something that we may not have thought of until seeing this. Let's get as many active items as possible. Hoit, big knock up here as Chovy is getting 2v1 in the mid lane, and now Griffin have to disengage, and here comes Nuclear looking for that big engagement. The knock up from Lehends is going to keep him away.
Gonna keep chasing. Can they get out?
Can they get in range? The big shock blast is going to hit him, but it's not the right target, and Sword, meanwhile, is just easily pushing the top lane.
Too slippery are the members of Griffin. Rakan, Ezreal are the definition of that. Sword continues to push, and topside didn't have teleport, but he wasn't coming, that's for sure. Getting some gold, getting some damage to this bot lane turret. This one will go down. No significant gold lead in this game as Damwong Gaming take their first turret of the game.
Redemption used again. I didn't quite catch where it was used, but
it actually didn't arm. It was just as Olaf was disengaging. He didn't get the heal,
okay.
and then was one auto from death. It's almost very awkward on that.
It's just funny that the cooldown is back. So for the next fight, even if it happened immediately, the Olaf would have redemption again.
I feel like, you know the brain exploding meme where it goes from a small explosion to a bigger one?
Brain thing? Yeah.
Are we going to get some shielding synergy with this redemption to get more healing value out of it? Where's the next mana regen? Forbidden Idol would be just the most troll item an Olaf could ever build. We think it's just a one-off redemption like we see with the support Elise and support Ornn, but we're not to know. He plays the Evelyn jungle, he plays the crazy stuff, and then when he plays Olaf, he builds a redemption. Just Tarzan thinks.
It's just, you know, redefining the jungle as he goes. No big deal. It's just what he does.
ShowMaker's KDA in the toilet. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
But Chovy now, 63 KDA.
How far can he go? Looks like he was dead when he had a Jace and a Galio on top of him, but lo and behold, Shroud is an ability. And he was totally fine.
Jungle is going to be so tilted around the world if this redemption jungle thing happens again, because they just started building damage again, Valdez.
I know.
They just no longer had to build into Knight's Vow every game.
Warmogs.
And Warmogs. They finally got some damage items, and then Tarzan says, hey, you know what's pretty good? Redemption Olaf.
It's relatively cheap, too. I forget what it is, but it's like
2,100 maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking like 23. It's around there. It's really cheap, so it's a great early item pickup, you know, where you can get it super quick after your essentials, which just makes it even more enticing, you know.
Tarzan himself, when interviewed about Jungle Champion, says he likes playing the tanks. He knew that about the Sejuani. This is a bridge further than we could have expected. Canyon didn't have a big start on his Kha'Zix, he's had a big finish. His team fighting on Kha'Zix, future's pretty tricky. Was really impressive. He's half a level till he can evolve another ability. But now being pretty respectful as he takes an axe from Tarzan.
He was scanned and outplayed. Tarzan saw him there. Just clearing out the vision around Infernal, which is, of course, always a very highly contested objective.
And let's talk about the game state before the Infernal battle happens. Remember, we said we really liked Damwong in the early game till 2 items on Ezreal and 1 item on Akali. In that time, the game is even. So it's way better than expected for Griffin that they haven't taken any significant losses in the early game. And now, when the first big fight, which we imagine will happen over Infernal, is happening, the cores are done with Griffin, and Damwong are behind in kills. So actually, Griffin are way more ahead than perhaps the gold illustrates. And Damwong are going to have to do some outplaying in the next fight to make over, or to get over what has been a bit of a wayward early game from them.
Sword having a fun time too. Essentially never left lane and just pushed as Nuguri tried to make map plays, which did not work out. Means that he's actually got the advantage up there in terms of pushing onto that turret. Both top laners with TP. And here we go, Canyon trying to get the drive-by, cannot do it. And they're gonna engage here onto Lehends, but in goes the charm as Hoit is in a lot of trouble. ShowMaker able to get that taunt down, has the burst damage and actually kills the Olaf. Before he can do much of anything, Shock Blast is going to go wide, and Damwong not willing to go on the chase. They pick up a kill, but Infernal goes to Griffin.
And Griffin's jungle are kind of laid out to be taken down. Chovy's not there to zone, so not able to have any influence in that fight at all. Damwong have good turret damage. It's Jace and Kai'Sa. This turret will explode.
See you later, Mr. Turret, or Mrs. Turret. You're dead.
Don't presume the turret's gender.
Yeah, you know, I just, you know.
So we're going to push through the bot lane here. That was a good moment for Damwong. They needed a reset like that, and it's not going to have a significant impact on the gold. But we'll watch the replay here. You notice that combat redemption could be pretty tricky to use, as we'll see as it goes on. Canyon's just faking out. It's just a ruse on the bottom side till he jumps upwards. Nuka's out of the fight, but as the fight goes on, there's no Akali finding any real inroads. Victor comes in late, and so Olaf just taken down in the front line.
Chovy would have loved to be in that back line with Hoit and Nuclear,
yeah.
the juicy, squishy targets, you know. But too hard when you got a big gargoyle in your face and the rest of your team is disengaging. So, yeah, a bit of an unfortunate one there. It happens sometimes around objectives that you're essentially all-inning on. But they do get that Infernal, which is going to be huge. The Victor, Akali, Ezreal trio are going to be popping off in terms of damage.
But the Akali, Rakan, Olaf, the dive trio here. And it's only really one with true threat. It is a Cinderhulk, Redemption, Olaf, and Rakan, who at least moves fast on this patch. Hasn't had his boots nerfed just yet. Still going to be Sonic the Hedgehog for, I would imagine, this weekend. I don't know about next week, actually, and if we're 9.2 or not. I guess we'll all find out next Wednesday. Canyon walks up. He's evolved W second. I wonder if that's ever been a thing. RW is an interesting one, but this is very much a scouting build, as you have 3 charges of your invisibility and the ability to check brush and have some utility slows as well.
Feels nice to get the ultimate positioning for the Galio's Heroes entrance as well. Just have that extra second unseen and fast getting into the back line. It's a cool idea.
It's just a new meta. We've seen so many different choices on the Kazakhs. Q evolve, R evolve, W evolve from Clid as first evolve in solo queue, but RW gives a lot of ability to kind of be similar to old R when you had the ability to be invisible when you entered every brush. You can have a lot of brush control on this because you can enter them with 2 seconds of stealth and check them safely as well. So scouting-wise, it can definitely work. And there's not been a snowballed game for the Kazakhs. He's 3 camps ahead, but no kill involvements for the Kazakhs.
Nice ward there, actually, in the enemy red by Damwong. Spots the Olaf and knows that Tarzan is nearby, but nothing doing so far. The Baron has spawned. Next Drake is going to be Mountain, but doesn't spawn for another 2 minutes. We'll see if any team can make any picks happen in this one. I know Damwong would love to just blow up Chovy and make him irrelevant, but he brought the cleanse into this one, and he's fed. So we'll see if they can actually take away that primary target of the Akali.
Happy to side lane against Galio or Jace. Either lane assignment is fine. For the Akali, all Galio provides in a long side lane is the ability to group faster than the Akali can pull off with no teleport. So Damwong, I think the Flash Headbutt Pulverize is the big win button here. I think that's the way that they can actually rush Griffin, because I think if Griffin can play a slow game, that's Akali trading up in a side lane. That's Sword now able to push a little bit more relentlessly, and he has the Iceborne Gauntlet that we said was kind of the break-even point for this lane to not just be a hot mess for the victor. The side lane's healthier. The Ezreal farming it out and just getting the scaling on with the second tier item evolution. Probably around 28 minutes we'll see the Seraphs in this game. Damwong Gaming have a lot of force, but again, that's just on paper, and we've seen so many teams this season draft Galio Nocturne or any Galio comp and not be able to pull the trigger and be kind of surprised when the game is taken away from them.
Definitely feels like we're heading along that path right now as we're getting into position for this Mountain Drake. Lots of control wards around this area for Damwong Gaming right now. And Viper currently backing, so maybe Griffin, well, he's going to stop backing, so they will actually challenge here at the Dragon.
Poke doesn't land from Nuguri. We see Chovy on the bottom side. He's going to be scouted by this control ward. That's enough to lead Damwong to exit the pit.
Yeah. Just trying to be sneaky there. You can actually just head straight into that brush with the Shuriken. Try to come from behind, but didn't happen. There's also a lane ward here, so Damwong know all about where Chovy's is on the map.
But that's the sort of macro you like. He either jumps over and has a flank position, or he jumps over and says, now there's a minion wave pushing in, react to that. They're making Damwong, who want to group and use their engage for a team fight, accountable in the side lanes, and not every team has been good about that so far. In LCK Spring, I think Sandbox, despite being 3-0, have had some pretty big mistakes around pushing waves. See Nuguri drawn to the bot side in order to pick that one up, and actually the Seraph's main line is going to be aborted by the Ezreal. It's gone for QSS for a bit of respect, largely to either the Headbutt Pulverize, you want to QSS and then Arcane Shift out of that one while you're airborne, or of course the more obvious one in the Galio Taunt.
If you're an Ezreal and you get caught by either of those things and you do not have an escape button like a QSS, you essentially just die. So I like the idea, play it safe from Viper.
You just wouldn't often see it against only Galio as a kind of bread and butter hard CC, but against the Alistar, maybe 1 second in the air, but the multiple seconds of CC is coming after that from the Galio, so don't mind it here. Griffin controlling the pit. We know that Olaf is on Raptor, so this just seems about positioning for the side of Griffin.
I love the way Lehends just sits right in front of the enemy team and just baits them. Say, I dare you to engage onto me.
And the longer that Damwong doesn't do anything, which walking around this area forward and back and releashing the Drake, that counts as not doing anything. A little bit of CS is coming the way of Griffin. More farming of the tier is going the way of the Ezreal, and there's no corresponding things that are scaling on the side of Damwong in terms of item power spikes. So Griffin actually don't mind milling Damwong around the Drake. They're not losing anything here, and while Damwong are not straight up losing the game, they're losing their foothold on the mid game.
Yeah, just twiddling their thumbs are Griffin. Even when they didn't have vision on the Drake, Lehends was just standing next to the pit. That was his job. He was the human ward. Say, if they are going to hop the border or the wall there, then, you know, he's just going to spot it, and there's going to be no problem. And, well, no Drake was taken, and the vision is still down. We'll have to wait and see, though, here. There was that one ward that spots him coming in. So no Mountain Drake for now.
Canyon really doesn't want to waste his Duskblade sweeper onto a visible ward, but that's the only one in the pit. Lehends going to take an EQ and back away. Victor's back top side and not the most impactful TP user, neither is Nuguri, to be fair, on the Jace. Do they know about Chovy on the bottom of the screen? My first thought is no.
Does seem that way. TPs are coming in as Chovy is now spotted. Shock Blast goes wide, and now Griffin thinking about taking the Mountain Drake.
Tarzan split, though. They have no smite on the bottom of the screen.
Looks like Canyon wants to come and burst it down, and there it is. The ultimate here from Viper. Going to be just fine. Canyon, kind of an awkward spot, waiting on the leaf cooldown. Does make it over, but gets pretty low, and Griffin, we're forced to give away that Mountain. That's double Mountain Drake now to Damwong. We already mentioned the speed at which turrets can go down with Jace and Kaisa. How about with 2 Mountain Drakes?
That is something to think about, Valdez, as Viper got his buy-in. He's going to be finishing off the Seraph soon. Awkward positioning for Tarzan to be the one split around the top of the pit. But overall, Griffin delayed the Drake take by about 5 minutes from all the inaction around that objective. They move towards the Baron with the chance of at least threatening a start on it, but no Blade of the Ruin King on Ezreal means their Baron speed is pretty slow. Good Baron turn, though. Very reliable. They will always have a battle dance for Rakan to do the rest of the work, as Olaf, Akali, very hard to interrupt. What does this all mean for Damwong Gaming? They've got core items too. We object to how they got to this time and the fact that Griffin are so close in gold after the draft. But now it's all about execution. Now purely execution between Damwong Gaming and Griffin. Any mistakes on either side, and I think the punishment will be swift and might just be game-winning. Because even if it's just Victor dying to Jace solo, those turrets going to explode.
You mentioned the item timings here for Griffin, but how about 4 stopwatches as well? I feel like they have their sights set on the next team fight, and we've seen what a powerful item the stopwatch can be. That stasis, when used correctly, can win you fights just on 1 member, but how about on 4? They're certainly going to be looking for that next one and putting all their eggs in that basket, especially with the timings they have on their champions.
And some of the timings here feel oh so good for Griffin. Consider that Canyon's actually going second lethality item against armor stacking. It's fine for the Jace. He can get the Yomas for movement speed, the extra lane control that the sweeper effect on the Duskblade provides, and then just the Black Cleaver. But double lethality on Kha'Zix, if you get the maximum value and split away Lehends, Chovy, or Viper, I get it. But it seems pretty bold given that everyone's building armor, and the moment that Seraphs is there, Ninja Tabi plus the extra shield, that's going to be a very tanky Ezreal as well.
He's going to be having a grand old time. Lehends here took an accelerated shock blast to the face and barely lost any health.
And that's Rakan. He has no base stats to speak of at all.
Yeah. There's a nice amount of armor in his build.
It's actually us watching Freak's video on base stats, and he talked about how Rakan's base armor was insanely high. Very squishy in health and no magic resist to speak of either, but decent armor total with just a Glacial Shroud and a cloth armor. A-ramming a little bit here.
Yeah.
Viper able to just throw ults out and continue to charge. He can't be far away from that Seraph's transformation.
He's nearly there, no doubt. He's just going fishing. He's not too concerned about the A-ram. Did a huge chunk to nuclear before. Is looking for another opportunity like that.
Seems like a game defined by a super player or a mistake. And if those two things happen at the same time, that might just be the game decider. Sword coming from the sides, pushing up here, gets a bit of poke onto nuclear.
Oh, gets the laser too. Struggling here to stay above half health is nuclear. So much poke on the side of Griffin, just in Ezreal and Victor.
That means Baron control again, gonna have to be abandoned by Damwong. Another shopping trip for the mid lane here. About 1,200 gold lead is the lead for the Akali. Zhonya's and more CDR. Banshee Veil to be a bit more tanky seems to be the build path here from Chovy as a 4th item. A lot of weird off tanks going on. A Cinderhulk Redemption Hex Drinker looks like the sort of build that's where you're following an Ultimate Bravery build of Hex Drinker. What's next in the build? IE, whatever, I guess. Like, yeah. Definitely a bit all over the place, but you understand what's going on there. Damwong just say, well, how about starting Baron? And Canyon's almost dead from the Baron.
And he might just be dead here. Chovy, oh, he's looking for the snipe. He has to wait, and Chovy gets the execution. Hoit should be going down here as well. A double kill to Chovy. Let's just add more numbers to his KDA, why don't we? As he picks up 2 on the backside as a desperation moment. Trying to rush down Baron with double mountain does not pay off.
Redemption actually forces him to opt into Kali damage. Brilliant was that interaction there. Now it's Griffin on Baron. How can Damwong Gaming do anything to stop them? There's no smite here.
It's just sword versus 3 to zone them away. They know the rest of the team is right behind them. Particularly Lehends for sure, but there you go. Baron does go the way of Griffin. You mentioned the mistake or the super play. Felt like a bit more of a mistake there, but Griffin immediately capitalized.
Canyon was just machine gunned down by the Baron. Watch this, he's onto the Baron as a 2-man. You understand a 2-man with a tank jungler. Canyon's far from a tank. Baron does super damage in the early game. The redemption may have killed him. It's hard to say. He jukes it, but unfortunately jukes it into the welcoming embrace of Akali. And anyone who's been embraced by Akali in solo queue knows that embrace hurts a lot. Not sure what that says, but it tells you that death is incurred, the Baron is free. And now Griffin, who got a better earlier game than we thought they should have been granted, get a very nice late game tool in the Baron.
And they get some more kills and more items onto their Akali, who's gone relatively safe. I mean, it's pretty normal, but you get both the Banshee's Veil and the Zhonya's eventually. You're going to be taking immense damage while also not be able to kill this Akali. Not sure what Damwong can do up against that, as they weren't able to make any big Galio team wombo combo fights happen so far. And I don't think they'll have much of a better opportunity here in the future of this game either.
Just feels like wombo combos aren't working as much anymore, Valdez. Sometimes, yes, you'll see it work, but in even skill or potentially out-skill matchups, found it very hard for the wombo combos to find the value they did earlier in 2018. I think Griffin have played around that very, very well in this game. And like you say, wombo combo from behind feels pretty toothless. Feels like maybe the R button doesn't exist for the Galio. Canyon pokes around the side on top side, but it's not going to dissuade the now level 18 Chovy, whose Banshee Veil is done. So many more scenarios you see where Damwong Gaming lose out, and they finally lose out on their mid lane outer turret. In last 35 minutes, this is a Baron buff with a lot of standing gold in terms of turrets, and the potential to actually find the first meaningful gold lead of Game 1 of the series for Griffin.
Now, we have seen teams, namely Griffin, come from behind about 8,000 gold with the Kaisa, who is still 2-0-1. Feels a little bit different in terms of the situation, but the game is not over yet. Only 2,000 gold ahead for now is Griffin. And we're 36 minutes into the game essentially, and triple mountain on the side of Damwong. So we'll see if they can come back in this game.
Very tricky. Nuguri is usually the gathering storm in the side lane, but it's Jace this time, not Vladimir or a team fight impactor. Very hard for Jace to do anything against Baron buff, one of the natural counters to a split push champion. Griffin continue to move. About another minion wave of Baron buff left on the side of Griffin.
Looking for just one more turret, as the top lane getting pretty low here. They've already taken 2 in the mid, and they wouldn't even mind an engage at this point. They have so many strong members in this lineup to the point where Damwong cannot even come close to their team on that turret. Just have to let that one go. The Baron buff will finally be done.
Jace has that amusing farm bounty. It's pinging between 700 and 650. So very much about just finding the minion waves he can and not going into any threat range. He's been very restrained on the Victor, which he needed to be in this particular game. Like you say, nice items onto the Kaisa. 4 items done, and just a Mikuro Scimitar to be the final item coming in. What does it mean? How do they get the fight now that they need to get back into the game? The terrain where that happens seems to be purely around next Baron, or maybe the Elder, which is coming in a minute's time.
Looks like they want to set up for it right now, as there was the one control ward, and Canyon Nuguri both very close by with their sweepers. The takeaway one. But so far, Griffin seem like they have the advantage in this area for now. Baron will also be coming up in about 1:30, so keep your eye on that timer here.
You could get one and then just run to the second one. That's the God tier standard that you could see come out. The teams try to do, having the overlapping buffs when it comes to contesting the secondary objective. Because of the short spawn timers, it seems like one team will win a fight, get both, because the other team will be wiped. Viper full build, complete full build now, as Bay the Ruin King and Pure Scimitar came very quickly. Looking at W damage here on the Observer, because the W rework on the latest Ezreal build does make him much more of a sieging champion. Pop out the ult, the enemy has no health bar. Pop out the W, the turret has no health bar. A nice 1-2 punch.
He's kind of strong, for sure. Viper agreeing with your current assessment of the Ezreal. Here we go. Elder has spawned. Damwong, though, not ready to take a fight just yet. Looks like the TP is down for just a couple more seconds here for Nuguri, where it's up for sword.
4 stopwatches on the side of Griffin. Only person without one is Viper, and he's Ezreal with Summoners and QSS. So given that, so hard for a combo ult, you'll take one pick, but forcing a stopwatch surely has to be the start of that play. Ult doing about 1/3 of Nuclear's health bar, and that's with some magic resist in this build.
Well, I can try to get back some of that health here eventually.
Nice thing is, if Damwon Gaming can recreate what Gen-hee did in that second game yesterday, they got 3 Mountain Drakes, so they can at least trade objectives pretty damn fast.
You can see that happens immediately. The second they see Griffin move towards that Elder, Damwon come up to the Baron. And they're going to threaten it here. Lehends has to be careful.
They check with the Redemption. They know that they're not on Baron, as you're laughing about the Redemption again.
Yeah. It's not Lehends without one.
Look at this Baron explode!
Just disappear! Sword trying to come from behind. Down goes the Chaos Storm, but it is going to go the way of Damwon Gaming. And here comes Nuclear into the backline, but he immediately disappears as all their DPS should be gone now. Big taunts here from ShowMaker, but immediately Viper is going to cleanse that one. Chovy and Viper just tearing apart this team, as well as Canyon on the top side. Everybody except Nuguri will be dead, and Chovy, he wants it. One more Q and a flash, and there it is. The clean ace goes the way of Griffin.
The clean ace goes the way of Griffin. Damwon get the Baron from their incredible Baron damage. You can tell Nuclear was watching those Viper highlights recently, because he thinks he's going to swoop in and recreate the pentakill. Not to be. First one down, no damage behind Damwon with Kai'Sa dead, and Griffin will win game number 1.
Took about 40 minutes, a bit of a longer one, but Griffin all the way through seem to be in control once again. They will take the Nexus down for the 8th time in a row up against Damwon Gaming. Damwon Gaming still looking for that first win, but Griffin this time around will say no.
It's their 15th win in a row on the 2019 patch since the start of their Kesper Cup. And they're going to feel pretty solid about this game. Again, I had a lot of issues with their draft because it seemed like a return to some of the drafts we wagged our fingers at in summer season. The very scaling drafts are a bit off-center.